Samuel sits on the cold, hard pavement, his back pressed against the brick wall of a restaurant. The city hums around him, a chaotic symphony of honking cars and chattering people, but he feels invisible, just an 8-year-old kid with bare feet and a stomach that growls louder than the traffic. Today, like every other day, he finds himself in this spot, hoping for a little kindness from the world. As he huddles against the wall, he pulls his thin blanket tighter around his shoulders. The morning sun peeks through the buildings, but it doesn't warm him. He glances at the people rushing by, their faces a blur. They don't see him, they never do. He's learned to be okay with that. It's easier to go unnoticed, but today feels different. He takes a deep breath, remembering the song his mother used to sing to him. It's a song about grace and redemption, about finding light in the darkest places. He closes his eyes and lets the melody flow from his lips. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. His voice is shaky at first, but as he sings, he feels a flicker of hope. A few people glance his way, their expressions a mix of curiosity and indifference. He pushes through the song, pouring his heart into every note. He remembers his mother's smile, her laughter ringing like a bell. She always said that music makes everything better. He hopes she's listening. Just as he hits the chorus, he notices a man in a suit walking toward him. His face is serious, but there's something kind in his eyes. Samuel keeps singing, his voice rising above the noise of the street. That saved a wretch like me. When he finishes, the world around him is silent. The man in the suit stands there watching him. Samuel feels a rush of nerves. Did he do okay? Wow, the man finally says, breaking the silence. You've got a beautiful voice, kid. Samuel blinks up at him, surprised. No one has ever said that to him before. Thanks, he mumbles, his cheeks flushing. The man glances around, then reaches into his pocket. Here, he says, handing Samuel a couple of bills. Get yourself something to eat. Samuel stares at the money, disbelief flooding his senses. Really? Really, the man replies with a smile. Just don't spend it all on candy, okay? Samuel nods, still in shock. I won't. I promise. As the man walks away, Samuel clutches the money tightly, his heart racing. He can't believe it. Maybe today is his lucky day after all. He stands up, his bare feet hitting the pavement as he makes his way toward the corner store. The smell of fresh bread wafts through the air, and his stomach growls louder. He can almost taste the warm, buttery goodness. Inside the store, he scans the shelves, his eyes landing on a day-old pastry. It's not much, but it's better than nothing. He grabs it and heads to the counter, his heart pounding. Just this, he says, placing the pastry down. The cashier eyes him, and Samuel feels a wave of anxiety wash over him. You got money? He nods, pulling out the bills the man gave him. The cashier raises an eyebrow but rings him up anyway. $2, he says. Samuel hands him the money, and the cashier gives him the pastry. Don't make a mess, he grumbles. Thanks, Samuel whispers, clutching the treat tightly as he steps back outside. He finds a bench nearby and sits down, tearing into the pastry. It's sweet and flaky, and for a moment, he forgets about the cold and hunger. He closes his eyes, savoring the moment. But as he finishes, reality crashes back in. He can't stay here forever. He needs to find somewhere safe to sleep tonight. The city is full of dangers, and he's learned the hard way that not everyone is kind. He decides to head toward the park. It's usually quieter there, and he knows a few hidden spots where he can curl up and stay warm. As he walks, he passes by families enjoying their day, laughing and playing. He can't help but feel a pang of jealousy. He misses his mom. He misses her hugs and her stories. The sun starts to set, casting a golden glow over the city. He reaches the park and looks for his usual spot behind a bush. It's small but hidden enough to keep him out of sight. He settles in, pulling his blanket around him. As night falls, the temperature drops, and he shivers. He wishes he had a real home, a place where he could feel safe and warm. But he's learned to survive. He closes his eyes, letting the sounds of the park lull him to sleep. A sudden noise jolts him awake. He sits up, heart racing. A group of teenagers is nearby, laughing and shoving each other. He holds his breath, hoping they don't notice him. "Look at that kid," one of them shouts, pointing in his direction. His heart sinks. He knows he needs to move before they come closer. He grabs his things and darts out from his hiding spot, running toward the other side of the park. "Hey, get back here!" they call after him. He runs faster, his feet pounding against the ground. He can't let them catch him. He weaves through the trees, his lungs burning. He finally finds a small alleyway and slips inside, pressing his back against the cool brick wall. He takes a moment to catch his breath, his heart racing. He hates feeling like this, scared and alone. But he reminds himself that he's survived this long. He can keep going. As he leans against the wall, he pulls out his mother's photo from his bag. It's worn and creased, but it's all he has left of her. He traces her smile with his finger, feeling a surge of warmth. "I'm trying, Mom," he whispers. "I'm trying to be brave." He tucks the photo back in his bag and takes a deep breath. He can't let fear control him. He needs to find food and a safe place to sleep. Tomorrow is another day, and he can't give up hope. The next morning, he wakes up to the sound of birds chirping. He stretches out his limbs, feeling the stiffness in his body. He's got to get moving. He decides to head to the bakery downtown. They throw out day-old bread, and sometimes he can snag a few pieces if he's lucky. As he walks, he keeps his head down, avoiding eye contact with anyone passing by. When he reaches the bakery, he peeks through the back door. The baker is busy, and he sees a few loaves sitting on the counter, just waiting to be thrown away. His stomach growls, and he can't resist. He slips inside, keeping his footsteps light. He grabs a loaf and turns to leave when he hears a voice behind him. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" He freezes, his heart racing. The baker stands there, hands on his hips. He stammers. "I was just... Get out of here, kid. We don't want any trouble." He drops the bread and bolts for the door, his heart pounding in his chest. He can't believe he messed that up. He should have known better. He steps back outside, feeling defeated. He can't keep running like this. He needs to find a better way to survive. As he walks down the street, he passes by a hot dog cart. The owner, a kind old man, sometimes gives him leftovers. He approaches cautiously, hope fluttering in his chest. "Hey kid," the man says, spotting him. "You hungry?" He nods, his stomach growling. "All right, I've got a few left over from last night. You can have one." He can't believe his luck. "Thank you," he says, his voice filled with gratitude. The man hands him a hot dog, and he takes a big bite. It's warm and delicious, and he savors every bite. After finishing the hot dog, he keeps walking, feeling a little lighter. He passes by a coffee shop and sees a familiar face, the kind waitress who sometimes gives him hot chocolate on cold days. "Samuel," she calls out, waving him over. "How are you today?" "I'm okay," he replies, trying to sound cheerful. She eyes him closely. "You look a little worn out. Have you eaten?" He hesitates, then admits, "I had a hot dog." "That's good, but you need more than that. Here, take this." She hands him a small cup of hot chocolate, and he can't help but smile. "Thank you. Just be careful out there, okay?" she says, concern etched on her face. He nods, feeling a warmth spread through him. Maybe not everyone is blind to his struggles. Maybe there's still kindness in this world. As he walks away, he sips the hot chocolate, feeling a sense of comfort wash over him. He can't stay on the streets forever. He needs to find a shelter or a place where he can feel safe. He thinks about the shelter he got kicked out of a few weeks ago. It had been warm and had real food, but he got into a fight over bread and was told not to come back. He touches his split lip, a reminder of that night. But maybe he could try again. Maybe he could explain what happened. It's worth a shot. With renewed determination, he heads toward the shelter, his heart racing. As he approaches the building, he takes a deep breath. He can do this. He steps inside and sees the manager, a stern-looking woman. "What do you want?" she asks, eyeing him suspiciously. He hesitates. "I want to come back. After what happened last time?" "I know. I'm sorry. I need a place to stay. She studies him for a moment, and he can feel his heart pounding. Fine, she finally says. But if you cause any trouble, you're out. Understand? Yes, ma'am, he replies, relief flooding through him. He's back. He can't believe it. He follows her inside, and the warmth hits him like a wave. He can finally relax. That night, he curls up in his new bed, feeling safe for the first time in a long time. He closes his eyes, thinking of his mother. I'm trying, Mom, he whispers. I'm trying to be brave. Days turn into weeks, and he settles into a routine at the shelter. He makes friends with other kids, and they share stories about their lives. He even starts helping in the kitchen, learning how to cook with Mrs. G, who is like a mother to all of them. One day, as he's washing dishes, he hears a soft melody coming from the music room. He peeks inside and sees a girl his age, playing the piano. Her fingers dance over the keys, and he can't help but feel drawn to her. Hey, he says, stepping inside. She looks up and smiles. Hi, I'm Joy. I'm Samuel, he replies, feeling shy. Do you play? She asks, motioning to the piano. I used to, he admits. But I haven't in a long time. Want to try? He hesitates, but nods. He sits down at the piano, his fingers hovering over the keys. He remembers the song his mother taught him and starts to play. Joy joins in, her voice harmonizing with his. As they sing together, he feels a sense of joy he hasn't felt in ages. After they finish, Joy grins at him. You're really good. Thanks, he says, surprised. You are too. They start to practice together every day, and he feels himself opening up. He's starting to heal. One afternoon, Mr. Richards, a kind man who visits the shelter, comes in. He's always been supportive, and Samuel can tell he cares about them. Samuel, he calls out. Can I talk to you for a minute? Samuel nods and follows him to the office. Joy tells me you've been practicing a lot, he says, leaning back in his chair. Yeah, it's fun, Samuel replies, feeling a little shy. Good. I think you have a real talent, and I want to help you develop it. Samuel blinks in surprise. Really? Absolutely. I can set up some music lessons for you. You deserve a chance to shine. His heart races. I'd love that. Great. Let's get started next week. As he leaves the office, he can't help but smile. Things are finally looking up. The following week, he starts his music lessons, and it feels amazing. He learns new songs and techniques, and Joy helps him every step of the way. He feels like he's finally finding his voice again. One day, as they're practicing, Joy turns to him. Hey, do you want to perform at the shelter's talent show? He freezes, his heart racing. I don't know. What if I mess up? Everyone will be cheering for you. It'll be fun. He takes a deep breath. Okay, I'll do it. As the talent show approaches, he feels a mix of excitement and nerves. He practices every day, and when the night finally arrives, he's ready. The shelter is packed with people, and he can feel the energy in the room. When it's his turn, he steps on stage, his heart pounding. He looks out at the audience and sees familiar faces, Mrs. G, Marcus, Joy, and Mr. Richards. He takes a deep breath and starts to sing. Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound. As he sings, he pours his heart into every note. He remembers his mother and the love she gave him. He feels her presence with him, guiding him. When he finishes, the room erupts in applause. He can't believe it. He did it. After the show, he's flooded with congratulations. You were amazing, Joy exclaims, hugging him tightly. I can't believe I actually sang, he says, his heart soaring. Mr. Richards smiles at him. You have a gift, Samuel. Never forget that. That night, as he lies in bed, he feels a sense of peace wash over him. He's come so far from the scared little boy who sang on the streets. He's found a family here, and for the first time in a long time, he feels like he belongs. He closes his eyes, whispering to his mother, I'm trying, Mom. I'm trying to be brave, and he knows that with each passing day, he's getting closer to finding his way home. As the weeks go by, Samuel finds himself more comfortable in the shelter. The other kids become his friends, and they share laughter and stories. They bond over their shared experiences, and for the first time in a long time, he feels like he's part of something. Joy becomes his closest friend, and they spend hours in the music room, playing and singing together. She encourages him to explore different styles of music, and he finds himself experimenting with new songs. The piano becomes his escape, a place where he can express himself freely. One afternoon, while they're practicing, Joy suggests they write their own song. "Let's tell our story through music," she says, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Samuel nods, feeling a rush of inspiration. "Okay, what should we write about?" "About hope," Joy replies. "About finding our way through the darkness." They spend the next few days working on their song, pouring their hearts into the lyrics and melody. Samuel feels a sense of purpose as they create something beautiful together. When they finally finish, they decide to perform it at the next talent show. "This is going to be amazing!" Joy exclaims, bouncing on her toes. Samuel can't help but smile. He's never felt this excited before. They practice every day, refining their performance and adding harmonies. The song takes shape, and soon it becomes a reflection of their journey. The night of the talent show arrives, and Samuel feels a mix of nerves and excitement. He and Joy stand backstage, waiting for their turn. "You ready?" she asks, her voice steady. He takes a deep breath. "Yeah, I think so." When it's finally their turn, they step onto the stage, and the audience quiets down. Samuel looks out at the familiar faces, his friends, the shelter staff, and even Mr. Richards, who gives him an encouraging nod. They start to play their song, and as Samuel sings, he feels a surge of confidence. The words flow from him, and he pours his heart into every note. Joy's voice blends with his, creating a beautiful harmony that fills the room. When they finish, the audience erupts in applause. Samuel can hardly believe it. They did it. He beams at Joy, who is practically glowing with excitement. "Did you see their faces?" She laughs, her eyes shining. "We were amazing." Samuel nods, still in shock. "I can't believe we actually performed our song." After the show, they're surrounded by their friends, who congratulate them. "You two are going to be stars," Marcus says, clapping them on the back. Mr. Richards approaches, a proud smile on his face. "You both have incredible talent. Keep nurturing it, and you can go far." Samuel feels a warmth spread through him. For the first time in a long time, he feels hopeful about the future. He's found a family, a passion, and a sense of belonging. As the weeks turn into months, Samuel continues to thrive at the shelter. He attends school with the support of Miss Thompson, who helps him catch up on his studies. The other kids become his friends, and they form a tight-knit community. He and Joy keep writing songs, and they even start a small band with some of the other kids. They perform at local events, sharing their music and spreading hope wherever they go. One day, while they're practicing, Samuel has an idea. "What if we create a music program for other kids in the shelter?" Joy's eyes light up. "That's a great idea. We can teach them how to play and sing." They pitch the idea to Mr. Richards, who is enthusiastic about it. "I love it. Let's get started on making this happen." With the support of the shelter staff, they begin organizing music workshops for the younger kids. Samuel feels a sense of purpose as he teaches them the songs he loves and shares the joy of music. As they work together, Samuel realizes how far he's come. He's no longer the scared little boy hiding in the shadows. He's found his voice, his passion, and a family that supports him. One evening, as he sits in his room, he pulls out his mother's photo. He traces her smile with his finger, feeling a surge of love. "I did it, Mom," he whispers. "I'm trying to be brave, just like you taught me." He knows that his journey is far from over, but he feels ready to face whatever comes next. He's found a home in the shelter, in the music, and in the friendships he's built. With each passing day, he feels stronger, more resilient. He's learned that even in the darkest times, there's always a glimmer of hope. And as he closes his eyes, he knows that he's on the right path, one filled with love, music, and the promise of a brighter future. As Samuel continues to grow, he takes on more responsibilities at the shelter. He helps organize events, plans activities for the younger kids, and even starts a small choir with Joy. They practice regularly, and the sound of their voices fills the halls with joy. One day, Mr. Richards calls a meeting with the kids. "I have some exciting news," he says, a grin on his face. "We've been invited to perform at a community festival." The room erupts in cheers, and Samuel's heart races with excitement. "This is our chance to share our music with even more people," Joy exclaims, her eyes sparkling. They spend the next few weeks preparing for the festival. Samuel feels a sense of pride as they work together, perfecting their songs and choreography. The other kids look up to him, and he realizes how much he's grown since arriving at the shelter. The day of the festival arrives, and the atmosphere is electric. Samuel stands backstage, nerves bubbling in his stomach. He takes a deep breath, reminding himself of all the hard work they've put in. When it's finally their turn to perform, he steps onto the stage, the bright lights shining down on him. He looks out at the crowd, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. But as he sees familiar faces, his friends, the shelter staff, and Mr. Richards, he knows he can do this. They start to play their first song, and as Samuel sings, he feels a rush of joy. The music flows through him, and he pours his heart into every note. The audience cheers, and he can see the smiles on their faces. As they finish their set, the crowd erupts in applause, and Samuel feels a wave of happiness wash over him. They did it. They shared their music, and it resonated with people. After the performance, they're met with congratulations from the audience. "You were incredible," someone says, and Samuel can't help but grin. Joy hugs him tightly. "We did it, Samuel. This is just the beginning." As they celebrate, Samuel realizes that he's found his place in the world. He's not just a homeless boy anymore. He's a musician, a leader, and a friend. He's part of a community that supports and uplifts each other. In the following months, Samuel continues to thrive. He excels in school, and his love for music grows stronger. He and Joy work together to create more opportunities for the kids at the shelter, organizing concerts and music workshops. One night, as he lies in bed, he reflects on how far he's come. He thinks of his mother and the love she gave him. "I'm trying, Mom," he whispers. "I'm trying to make you proud." He knows that his journey is ongoing, but he feels ready to face whatever comes next. With the support of his friends and the love of his shelter family, he knows he can overcome any challenge. As he closes his eyes, he dreams of the future. A future filled with music, hope, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. He's found his voice, and he's determined to use it to inspire others, just like his mother inspired him. And with that thought, Samuel drifts off to sleep, feeling safe, loved, and ready to embrace the adventures that await him. Days turn into weeks, and the shelter continues to thrive. Samuel and Joy work tirelessly to create a music program for the younger kids, teaching them the joy of singing and playing instruments. They organize regular rehearsals, and the sound of laughter and music fills the air. One afternoon, as they're practicing, Mr. Richards enters the room with a big smile. "I have some exciting news," he announces. "We've been granted funding for a new music program. We can expand our offerings and get more instruments for the kids." The room erupts in cheers, and Samuel feels a surge of excitement. "This is amazing," he exclaims, hugging Joy. "We can help even more kids discover their love for music." They spend the following weeks organizing workshops, inviting local musicians to come and share their talents. Samuel feels a sense of fulfillment as he watches the younger kids light up with joy while learning to play instruments and sing. As the program grows, they decide to host a community concert to showcase the talents of the kids at the shelter. Samuel takes charge of organizing the event, and he feels a sense of purpose as he plans every detail. The night of the concert arrives, and the atmosphere is electric. The shelter is filled with families and friends, all excited to see the performances. Samuel stands backstage, his heart racing with anticipation. When it's finally their turn to perform, he steps onto the stage, looking out at the crowd. He sees familiar faces, his friends, the shelter staff, and Mr. Richards, cheering him on. He takes a deep breath and starts to sing. As he performs, he feels a rush of emotions. The music flows through him, and he pours his heart into every note. The audience is captivated, and he can see the smiles on their faces. When they finish, the crowd erupts in applause, and Samuel feels a wave of happiness wash over him. They did it. They shared their music, and it resonated with people. After the concert, they're met with congratulations from the audience. "You were incredible," someone says, and Samuel can't help but grin. Joy hugs him tightly. "We did it, Samuel. This is just the beginning." As they celebrate, Samuel realizes that he's found his place in the world. He's not just a homeless boy anymore. He's a musician, a leader, and a friend. He's part of a community that supports and uplifts each other. In the following months, Samuel continues to thrive. He excels in school, and his love for music grows stronger. He and Joy work together to create more opportunities for the kids at the shelter, organizing concerts and music workshops. One night, as he lies in bed, he reflects on how far he's come. He thinks of his mother, and the love she gave him. "I'm trying, Mom," he whispers. "I'm trying to make you proud." He knows that his journey is ongoing, but he feels ready to face whatever comes next. With the support of his friends and the love of his shelter family, he knows he can overcome any challenge. As he closes his eyes, he dreams of the future. A future filled with music, hope, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. He's found his voice, and he's determined to use it to inspire others, just like his mother inspired him. And with that thought, Samuel drifts off to sleep, feeling safe, loved, and ready to embrace the adventures that await him.